smells good. But caught me off guard. I broke my radio silence.
This is chicken Scarpariello. Scarpariello actually means shoemaker in Italian. It's a really simple, rustic Italian dish, and it's all of the flavors that I love: chicken, Italian sausage, onion, peppers, pickled peppers, potatoes. It's really amazing, but it actually can be done in such a way that is really unpleasant. The potatoes can get really soggy, and the sausage can be overcooked, and the peppers can be too vinegary or too sweet. So this is my version of this dish, which incorporates a lot of oven times. We roast the potatoes, we roast the chicken and the sausage. We're using peppadew peppers. It's gonna just lift everything up and brighten the dish. So I've broken the recipe into 3 basic components. First are the potatoes. We're just gonna toss these in olive oil and roast them. Then we're gonna sear the meats. And after that, we'll add the aromatics and just throw everything in the oven and finish it off. First thing I'm gonna do is roast the potatoes. And in a lot of recipes, the potatoes are cooked with the chicken and the sausage. They're really good, but they get really soft. And I wanted for this dish a little bit of textural difference. I might as well just save a little time and space in the skillet and roast the potatoes. So I'm just tossing some fingerling potatoes in some olive oil, salt, get some pepper. I want to put these cut side down. You'll still get the really nice buttery, rich interior of the potato, but you'll get nice caramelization on the bottom. We're putting them into a hot oven. All right. So while the potatoes are roasting, I'm gonna sear both the sausages and the chicken. We're gonna start with the sausage. I wanna get a really nice brown sear on those. A lot of times, everything gets cooked the same amount of time in the same skillet, which definitely makes it a lot easier, but your sausages are really dry and frankly unpleasant. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear it, pull it out, and then we'll nestle it in with the chicken at the end just to finish cooking. So whenever I heat my skillets up, especially for a sear, you wanna let it go a good minute, minute and a half, add your oil, wait for a little smoke, and then add your meat. That way you'll ensure that you're gonna get a really, really nice sear. Throw in the sausage. I'm just gonna turn them once. They're not gonna be cooked all the way through. This is literally just to get a nice sear. Because once we put them into the liquid with the chicken, they're just gonna braise. This is sweet Italian sausage. You can use hot if you want, but you get that nice fennel flavor, you get the fat from the sausage. That's gonna render out with the chicken skin. Just really nice. These are looking good. Again, we're not cooking these all the way through. We just want a little bit of color. Crank that up. I'm gonna put a little more oil in the skillet. Pan is very hot, but that's exactly what I want. You need the fat in there to help render the skin. I am going to season these pretty liberally. I didn't season the skin side deliberately. When you put salt directly on the meat, it's going to start to pull out some of the juices. And what I really want to have happen in here is I want the skin to get really crispy, and I want that chicken fat to render. Probably about 3 to 4 minutes. I want to get nice golden color. Sometimes you get chicken thighs that are either really big or really fatty, and it takes a little longer to brown. This is one of those times where you don't really want to disturb them. You just want to let them go. Your skin is definitely not going to be crispy as it's cooked because we're going to basically braise it in liquid, but we're rendering out a lot of the fat. So if we empty the fat out of the pan at this stage after we've rendered it from the skin, you won't get that excess fat once you have the finished dish. And again, this chicken is not cooked all the way through, and that's totally fine. It's going to cook with the veg in the liquids. Now we've got 2 onions in here. It's a lot, but it's gonna cook down. Also, the onions are gonna give a really nice sweetness as they cook. Garlic, and then bell peppers. And this. I like seasoning my vegetables as I saute them because this is one time, unlike the meat, where you do want to pull out some of the juices from the veg. That'll help them saute. When you pull out the juices, you'll also pull out some of the sugar in both the bell pepper and in the onion, and that'll help caramelize, and you'll get a much better flavor. Also, it'll avoid you having to season so much at the end if you just season as you go. This is actually a good dish to learn how to toss and flip. Basically, Why this is better is because when you're just stirring, you're moving things back and forth, and you kind of have to get up and under to make sure that whatever is brown on the bottom comes up to the surface. In restaurants, this is basically the way that you learn how to toss your food. You're basically taking everything that's on the bottom and getting brown, and you're flipping it up over, and so everything is just like trading places. And if you took out oil and you feel like you need a little more, if things started sticking, you can always add it back in. I feel like I'm pretty good for now. Although there's a lot of flavor in this oil, so, you know, I might throw in a little bit more, just for funsies. All right. This is the color that you want. So, you know, the onions aren't cooked completely through yet, and that's fine because they're gonna cook in the oven. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deglaze with some white wine. I want to get all those little brown bits from the sausage and the chicken up off the pan, all the sugars from the onions, and then we're just going to let this evaporate. You want to cook this down until you can't smell any more of the alcohol. That's just going to leave you with the brightness of the wine, the acidity, a lot of the floral notes. If you try to do something with this right now, you'll get like a really acrid alcohol flavor in the end, so you definitely want to cook this down. It'll be probably about 5 more minutes. So most of the wine is evaporated. It smells really good. So now we're going to add chicken stock. Homemade is best, but box is fine. This is white wine vinegar, pickled sweet peppadew peppers, and some rosemary. Now we're just going to bring this to a boil. We're going to let this reduce a little bit. I tried a couple of versions where we just threw the chicken into this and then threw it in the oven, and it's just too soupy. So we need to take the liquid down just a little bit. So about 5 minutes, and then it'll be reduced enough. We'll add the chicken and throw it in the oven. My potatoes are done. No need to flip them. The skins actually look pretty nice and brown. The way that you want to test them is take either a paring knife or a cake tester and just poke it through. You'll get a little resistance as you go through the skin, but everything else should be really nice and smooth. And you'll see we got some really, really beautiful browning. So we're just going to leave these there. And I believe my onions are ready for the chicken. I'm going to transfer chicken back in. Just nestle these guys in there. While the chicken cooks, it's going to release some of its juices, so you'll actually get a little bit more juice when the dish is finished. So now the chicken is nestled in there, I'm going to take this and finish it in the oven. Same temp as the potatoes. Upper rack for 10 minutes. And then we'll add the sausage. What are you making? Slaw?
It seems very, like, therapeutic.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm into it. I needed that.
Who are you thinking of? All right, it has been 10 minutes. We are going to nestle our sausages with the chicken. Look really good. You just want to get the sausages down under there. It's going to take another 5 to 10 minutes for these guys to cook, but they will be perfectly cooked, as will the chicken. This just goes back into the oven. I'm going to chop a little bit of parsley because it's nice and green and fresh, but it also just adds, it just finishes the dish. Gives you a nice little hit of herb, not too in your face. Just gives you a little bit of freshness. Everything is pretty braised and brown. This will lighten it up a little bit. There we go. It's done. All right, look at that. Yum, yum, yum. Also hot.
Smells like Thanksgiving.
I mean, yeah, it's a little, no, it's actually nothing like Thanksgiving. Other than the rosemary, maybe. There's poultry. All right, I mean...
Kind of the zesty, herby...
Yeah, I mean...
Especially the peppery smell.
Yeah, yeah. The rosemary, and like, the thing that's really awesome about this dish is the vinegar and the peppers, because the peppers are a little bit sweet, but they're very briny also. This is definitely Italian comfort food. Not hard to make, but really, really satisfying. And the skin, you know, the skin is poking up a little bit out of the sauciness, and so you do get a little bit of rendering and crispiness. And this is chicken Scarpariello. Ladies, so glad you could make it.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Okay, so just so we're clear, these two are responsible for all of our recipes, and they're editing and making sure that they work and that they make sense, because as recipe developers, we can go a little fast and kind of forget, you know, that these actually have to be legible and workable. So these ladies make their magic, make us look good. Yeah. How is it?
It's seasoned perfectly.
Amazing.
And it's very good.
Exact memories of 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yay.
Hi.
What you got?
Can I make you a plate?
Yes, please.
Great. I'm just gonna keep eating. Have you had this before?
I would never put sausage and chicken together
Really?
on the same plate. I don't know why, but I'm into it.
It's really good.
Ooh, and it's like kind of secretly spicy.
Yeah. Yeah. The heat is from the pepperdew peppers.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love pepperdew peppers.
Me too.
I like making a pepperdew pepper martini. Have you ever tried that?
No. Whoa.
You make it dirty, like a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit of the juice from the pepperdew jar. Would look good and taste good.
It's a really
Chicken
comforting
is
dish.
so sweet.
Yeah. It's just really good. It's really comforting. I like the texture of the potatoes too.
Wait, let me take this with me.
Okay. And this is my chicken Scarpariello. Happy shoemaker chicken.
Bon Appétit. Happy Thanksgiving.